Please tell me that this is in the right position. Please, this has taken me so long. Right, I've avoided making this video for months and months. I guess I'm just nervous about being in front of the camera. Not necessarily right now in my own house, but I suppose knowing that it's going to be released to the public, people are going to be watching this yeah, it's making me nervous. So I made a cup of tea because we like tea in England. We drink a lot of tea in England, so I've made a cup of tea to calm myself down, and we're gonna give this a go. That's hot. So I'm just chilling out today. Haven't been feeling very well, so I decided to watch the movie Wonder. It's one of my favourite movies. Ever since I first watched the movie Wonder, I have wanted to kind of open up somehow about my life and share my opinion on the movie, tell you all what I thought about it, but also share my experiences as someone with a facial deformity. I'm probably gonna, well, depending on how well this video goes, I'll probably sit down and explain this in more detail some other time. But just to summarise a little bit more about me and what my condition is. I was born with goldenhar syndrome, which is a facial development disorder. It affects one side of your face. I've got quite an average case of goldenhar syndrome, but yes, I do consider myself very, very lucky, very thankful that, and I'm obviously very aware that it could have gone a lot worse for me. So for me, goldenhar affects the right side of my face. My jaw is undeveloped, the hinge is practically non-existent. Do you know when you put your finger here and you move your jaw and you can kind of feel it, the hinge move? Yeah, there's nothing there. I don't know how my mouth opens, don't ask, because I don't have the answer to that question. It also affects which is the most common symptom of goldenhar syndrome, is it affects my ear. My right ear is pretty undeveloped. The whole ear canal and eardrum is completely undeveloped, which means I'm half deaf. I'm completely deaf in my right ear. It definitely has its cons, but also has its pros, such as sleeping, which I will get to some other time. In a more rare scenario, goldenhar has affected the bones in my right shoulder. I haven't heard of anyone else who has any kind of deformity in their right shoulder because of goldenhar. My whole right shoulder is kind of abnormal. My arm works, normally, I guess. I had a massive growth spurt when I was about 14, and since then I have had inconsistent pain in my right shoulder, which has been going on for about 10 years. 11 years? I don't know. That's a story for another day. So to summarise, my goldenhar affects me mainly in my jaw, my ear, my right shoulder, and some bones in my neck as well are also split. The reason I actually wanted to make this video is because I watched the movie Wonder today. I have seen it before. Obviously, it was released quite a while ago now. We're in July of 2019 now, and you're probably wondering, why have you decided to make this video now? Why didn't you make it when it was released? Well, the most honest and straightforward answer to that is, I wanted to make the video, but I've avoided making this video. I have avoided it. That is the honest and straight answer. The reason I've avoided it is the whole story of the movie. I have grown up with a facial deformity and I've grown up being treated differently, looked at differently by society. So that has obviously had an effect on my whole life, whether that's to do with confidence or my own self-esteem. All that stuff has been affected by the way I have been treated growing up, by people in school, by friends, and people in public. People in public, whether that's kids, whether that's the parents of the kids. Wonder definitely hit home for me when I first watched the movie. It was kind of like someone had gone into my brain from when I was probably around that age. Someone had gone into my brain, took all those thoughts that I can verbalise and communicate, because I was a quiet kid who didn't believe that she had a voice or that I was allowed to share my opinion. And they verbalised it and put it into this beautiful, well written, well casted, well delivered movie. It was absolutely beautiful. So the movie is about a boy called Augie, and August is in 5th grade, or year 5 as we would call it here in England, which means he's about 9-10 years old, and he was born with choosekind syndrome, which is, I believe, it is the affected development of the cheekbones here and the ears, like goldenhar syndrome. Basically, the whole movie is the story of a kid with a facial deformity transitioning from homeschool to public school, and it shows you the journey of the whole year for him, and it's absolutely stunning. It doesn't only show you the journey of Augie, but it shows you the journey of the people around him. It shows different perspectives, and that's one of my favourite things about it, is to see other people's perspectives. It splits it into like different sections, which I guess is like the chapters of the book. I haven't read the book. I would like to read the book. I just know that it's split into different chapters, just like the book, and each chapter is the perspective of a different character. We got to start with Augie, and then we move on to his sister Via, and then Jack Will, who is Augie's best friend, Miranda, who is Via's best friend, and it shows a perspective on how Augie has affected everyone. Yeah, it's amazing. It is actually amazing. I love how it didn't hold back in the words that people can use when August is being bullied. It didn't hold back just to make it easier to watch. It was uncomfortable. People saying that they would kill themselves if they looked like Augie. Some people would be very uncomfortable to hear those things, and that is the point. You are meant to feel uncomfortable, because these words are not okay. I've had to deal with the same kind of comments and the same kind of looks and the same kind of, the way that people approach Augie like he's some kind of disease. I've had to deal with that. It's made to make people who haven't been through those kind of problems and scenarios before, it's made to make them feel uncomfortable. But for people who have dealt with this every day, who have been through the similar experiences as Augie, it's a comfort. It is a comfort. It's the opposite end of the spectrum. And it's a very clever thing to do. I honestly would recommend this movie to anyone, to be honest. I would recommend it to anyone aged 8 and over. The younger that your kids are, the younger that these kind of issues are brought to their attention, the better, in my eyes. I think if I, as a 25-year-old woman, had the access to a movie that represents me in that way, if I had that access, that would have changed my world. I would have felt safe. It could have changed the way that my everyone around me looked at me. And I want that movie to do that to kids today. Now I'm going to share a little bit more about my own experiences, my experiences in school, I suppose. So as I already said, I'm 25. I know I look 17. I'm actually 25. Yeah, I know. Oh boy. So I think that now I have kind of lived long enough to share what I experienced in school and how that affected me then and how that still affects me today. I started school in the late 90s, grew up in a small town, predominantly white British town at the time. Everyone looked the same, everyone dressed the same, everyone acted the same. So if you stood out in any way, you stood out. You were a needle in a haystack, basically. That was me. I was the needle. Here we go. I was quiet because I felt like I had to be quiet. I felt like I couldn't share my opinion. The comments that people said to me were the way that it was going to be for the rest of my life, so I accepted it and I just let it happen. I didn't have a lot of friends in primary school especially. I have some pretty rough memories of the names that I've been called, the way I've been treated from primary school, that unfortunately are going to be with me for the rest of my life. I was often referred to as it, like as if I didn't belong in a human category, as if I wasn't like a human being, as if I had to be isolated into a category of what is that? We don't know what this is, so it's got its own category. You might think that sounds awful. Yeah, that's because it is. That was my reality, is that I got called it. I wasn't a person, I wasn't a human, I was it. This video is completely not a feel sorry for me, like a whole, oh I'm so sorry you had to go through this kind of video. It's just not at all. The point of this video is to open up a conversation. This is most definitely still happening. Kids are still being treated like this today, and it will and does have a long-term effect on their mental health. If sharing my experiences and my life, just my journey, helps just one person either realise that, you know, they need to change the way that they speak to people, or helps someone else with goldenhar syndrome or any other kind of facial deformity, this was worth it. I don't care for sympathy, like I couldn't care less, to be honest with you. Like, I know who I am now, even though these kind of things do affect me on some days. Those days that it does affect me are becoming less and less because I know who I am now. I know my identity, I know what I'm put on this earth to do. And this, I believe, is one of those things, is to inspire others, open up a conversation to a community that can feel so alone and isolated. It's so important that people talk, so that's why I'm doing this. In the movie Wonder, August is treated like a disease as well. People will say that if they touch him, then they'll get the plague. That is, like, it's a very similar situation to what it was like for me. Like, being called it was one thing, but then, you know, the whole, oh, you don't want to touch her, you don't want to go near her kind of thing. Like, you know, you have the desks at school and you have two people sat on one desk Like, I would just sit at the desk like normal. Whoever was sat next to me would sit like in between the desk, like, would move their chair away from me and sit in between the desk leg, so that they get, you know, they could be as far away from me as possible. Yeah, not good. People would kind of like either be nice to me, like if I was sat next to someone for something and we actually got along, they would get along with me in that situation, in that class, but then outside of the class it's back to ignoring, because you don't want to like make it seem like you're friends with her, because then maybe your friends might not like you. That was a very common thing. Or if anyone new came to the class, oh man, I have no hope of you know, making friends, because I actually vividly remember a new girl coming into the class halfway through the year, probably about year 5 actually, and she said hi to me and smiled, and then the girl who was sat next to her whispered something in her ear, and then she gave me a very dirty look, and then that was it then. She never spoke to me again. So I had no hope, even when people didn't judge me from, you know, looking at me. They would be told some kind of made up rumour. To this day I don't really know what it was, but it immediately made them, you know, go, oh, I can't be friends with her, because if I'm friends with her then everyone else will hate me, and that's not worth it. High school was an interesting one because I had friends, I made friends, but on the other hand, the bullying got more extreme. Like, the words got more, you know, awful. I think like primary school was obviously hard because I didn't really have any friends. Then high school I had friends, which was nice, which was obviously, you know, great, but the bullying got worse. The bullying got more intense. Sometimes it got physical. I remember one lunch, someone was throwing this orange peel at me, then they started throwing this sandwich at me. We used to have like these blue boxes on the table in like the canteen, and then instead of having a bin, we would have blue boxes on each table, so then they wouldn't leave their rubbish around. You would put your rubbish in. As soon as this guy started throwing a sandwich at me, I got so annoyed, I just threw the bin at him. I lobbed the bin at him. We both got in trouble. We both had to stay behind after lunch and clean up all the food that had gone everywhere. The ironic thing is, this kid, who was probably about 13 at the time, he was crying. The kid who started throwing stuff at me, laughing along with his little mates, was crying because he got in trouble. Like, grow up hair, mate, grow up hair. Basically, like, I don't know what I want to do with this channel. Like, I think I want to like open up in terms of like explaining different, you know, experiences in my life, different avenues that I've been down in life. I've been through a lot of stuff, not just because of goldenhar syndrome. I've got life experience under my belt, and I think I'm personally going through a massive change in my life right now, and it just felt right to kind of just get this rolling. If I can help people now, I want to do it now. I don't want to wait any longer. So that's why I sat down today. I felt motivated after watching Wonder. If you have any recommendations for videos, like, I would like to go into more detail about my experiences as someone who is half deaf, maybe like do a video about that, you know, the ups and downs of, you know, being half deaf, because there is ups, there is definitely ups, but especially as a musician, there's definitely downs. I'd also like to maybe go down the avenue of talking about mental health. There is many things that I've had to deal with. Most definitely my young adult years has been the worst in terms of my mental health, been the most difficult. there's loads of different avenues of videos that I can go down. If you have any recommendations, if you know anyone watches this and goes, yeah, I've learned something from this, or I've enjoyed this video and I would like to see more, just leave your recommendations in the comments or follow me on social media and I will happily get back to you and take any recommendations you have on board. And maybe do like a more light-hearted video, like a Q&A or something, like a random Q&A of like things that I like, you know, about my personal life, my hobbies, things that I enjoy. I don't know, this could be the start of something, or it could just be a one-off video. I don't know yet. I would like it to be the start of something. It's something I've always wanted to do. I've loved YouTube for many years. I haven't uploaded a video since I was 18, so I've got enough to talk about, which people that know me might not even believe that I actually have things to say, but I do. I am quite quiet and socially awkward, but that doesn't mean I don't have things to say. If you enjoyed this video, share it with any people that you might feel it appropriate to share with. Just share away if you feel like it. Leave a nice comment below. You know, if you have anything nice to say, then don't bother. Anything that isn't nice to say, just don't bother. You're not going to get my attention. I haven't got time to give you my attention as well. So leave your nice comments, share with anyone you want, and maybe I'll see you in another video. Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, peace.